everyone, Lakey here, and today I want to give you some tips for specifically sniping on Desert Storm. This is a map that I've had hundreds of games on, and I feel like after that time playing, I've learned a little bit about, well, more than a little bit, about how you can improve on playing the map and have a better sniping experience, and I feel like I see maybe areas where players don't realize they're making mistakes that often lead to getting them killed. So I'll be giving you tips for counter sniping people as well as just sniping in general on the map, as well as areas where you might be making mistakes that lead to your ultimate demise. I would like to note that I'm a rather passive player when sniping in general, so some of what I say will not fit the playstyle of everyone. This is just what I have found to be effective as a sniper on this map, and I would say honestly that it works. So yeah, let's get started. So just something general that I want to start with that applies to really sniping from any building in the map from a window. Oftentimes, where I see people making mistakes is when they decide to put themselves right in the window like this. I feel like this is just one way that's for you asking to get yourself killed. With this, your barrel is obviously sticking outside of the window. So anyone walking up to the window will maybe see a profile of the building. They might not know that you're there, but luckily for them, your barrel is sticking right out so they can see you and wallbang you, or just get the extra information that you're there and plan on how to attack you. There's no real reason to be standing in the window like this. On Desert Storm, I like to peek the windows in kind of a semi-circle way. This way, I can still reach the same sight lines, but not risk just putting myself out here where I'm visible to all of them. So in this building, for example, I'm available to this building over here, common sniper spot, all of these buildings in the phantom spawn, common sniper spots, and as well as this building. On top of that, all of this area down here and to the sides of me I'm visible to players, either being that my barrel is sticking out or they can just flat out see me. By peeking in a semicircle fashion, I can check each spot individually to get a feel for where I want to peek and adequately handle an enemy. I don't want to be taking on two enemies at once if there's someone over here and someone over here if I'm peeking like this. Instead, what I want to do is stand back and peek like this. This way, I am isolating the sightline to this building and in turn also protecting myself from any other enemies on sightlines that I'm not focused on. Another thing for general play on this map is that because it's such a popular sniping map and you are bound to encounter other snipers across all different points of the map, every time you peek, you need to be prepared to shoot. So even if there's no one in this building, I'm still going to peek it and scope in at it or something like that, as if I'm expecting an enemy. If you're just kind of nonchalantly, checking areas, looking for, oh, maybe there's an enemy here, oh no, there isn't, you're gonna end up getting killed, essentially. I find that peeking in a way that I'm prepared for an enemy, I feel like that kind of helps me get kills in the end rather than hinder me. I'd rather be safe than sorry in a situation with another sniper. Another general tip for the map is that rooftops are very accessible, and I would honestly advise not going on them. As a sniper, to me, these rooftops are the places that people are easiest killed. They are very easy to see, there's a lot of contrast on the rooftops, and you have very little cover to choose from, if any. So when you're on the rooftop like that, I feel like you are making yourself needlessly vulnerable. And the thing is with being on the rooftops is that sure, I feel like you maybe get a different sightline, but all of the sightlines for buildings that you would maybe be shooting enemies in are also accessible from areas where you don't have to expose yourself being on a rooftop like you are. The only time that I'll venture out onto a rooftop is that if the enemy team is not really having a good counter sniping presence, there's not really any other snipers that I have to worry about, and we have good map control, because if there is an effective sniper on the other team, going on those rooftops is going to be a death sentence for you. Another thing to note is that with these billboards, they kind of, to me at least, give the illusion of false cover. You stand behind them and you think you're safe. And they're dotted throughout the map, over there, in front of me, and over here. The thing is though, if I'm standing right here, someone can see my feet underneath this. And if maybe my barrel isn't sticking out and I'm being safe in the other ways that I prepared, my feet still give away my position. And so anyone with a bit of experience in the game probably understands the way that the characters are in their height and might be able to land at least a body shot or a headshot on you. I feel like you definitely need to be very mindful of these billboards, as like I said, they give a false sense of cover. Just like the rooftops, these water towers or oil tanks, whatever you want to refer to them as, are very exposed with literally no cover on them. I do not understand why people go up here and then simply go prone. They will often hang off like this, as the bars don't protrude their vision and they can just snipe from it. As an enemy sniper, these are the easiest people to kill in the game. Like, seriously, if you're going up here, it's a death sentence. You really don't need to. Yes, the expanded sightline of the whole map is nice, but it's not something that is exclusive to this position. By going up here, you're just making it easier for yourself to die. I would like to note that for the Phantom side of the map, in your spawn area, which is generally going to be this area here, you really need to be aware of sightlines. So in this building, if you're kind of in these windows here, you can be seen from this building. If you're running out here, you can be seen from this building. And if you're even over here, you can be wall banged from this or even this. So you need to be mindful of that if there's an enemy sniper over here looking into your spawn area. I find that it's quite easy to prey upon people who maybe don't realize or know better that the sightline I may have from this building over here into their spawn is quite dominant. And then in the ghost spawn area, similar to the Phantom's one, this long strip of area is very exposed, and you really need to be mindful of that. So often if people have come in, they'll peek around here, or they'll be all the way down there. That, or they might be closer to the hill. When you're running out from your spawn points, which are kind of littered all over this area, you really need to be mindful of where you're running in your spawn. So you need to use cover. Moving around the boxes as opposed to walking straight out like here is an example of how you can be more safe. If I'm running out like this, I'm exposing myself to different sightlines one at a time, whereas if I run around the boxes here, I'm more safe. So now I'll just go over some of my favorite sniping spots and how you can take advantage of certain angles from them and just what I like about these spots. First up is this building. I love sniping from this building on the Phantom side. One of the great things about Desert Storm is that sightlines are very accessible on the map and very large. So on something like King of the Hill, I have a direct shot at the hill. Don't be fooled by this though, you can be countered and you need to be aware of enemies from all positions. So if you've probably seen in my footage, I'm regularly checking to see where enemies are around me. This broken wall can hide you in some ways, but your barrel also sticks out. So while sniping here, even though I mainly focus on this window here, I am constantly checking to see, are there enemies over here? Are there enemies over there? Are they coming to the side of me? And doing the semicircle thing, checking the angles. One thing I don't recommend with this building is sticking yourself in this corner right here to shoot at this building. Yes, it's a direct sight line, but again, your barrel is sticking out. Look at that, my barrel is right there. So you can be wall banged and it's just an easy shot. Instead, you can go over to this window, and while there's a power line in the way, simply crouch and you have a better, more safe sight line for the enemies over there. Sometimes though, peeking at this window just is too much, and I will often mix things up by going down here and peeking from this window instead. This creates a bit of an off angle for the enemy, and is just an area where I don't think people are mainly expecting to see people in this building. I feel like with the slant that it's at, it's easier for me to see the enemy than they can see me. This is also an area that protects you from this building over here. So if there are enemies over there I don't want to deal with, I'll come down to this building and focus on the sightlines over here. And then you can pop up here and shoot them, or you can pop out the other door here and take a shot at them. The great thing is that unless they're using something like the 50 caliber rifles, they won't really be able to wall bang you, so you're pretty safe. Another thing with the buildings is that they're often multiple stories, and you can use the stairs to your advantage. So if you're playing with an experienced player or just someone who likes to wallbang, they will definitely try to take advantage of that. And this wall right here, I feel like is something that I always find myself getting shot at from. And one of my friends specifically loves to use the Scar Hammer and loves to wallbang me when we play. So what I'll do if I want to avoid them is go down here and hide behind the stairs. This is nice if I want to reload or simply wait for them to get to a closer position to me where I have more of the advantage. With the stairs, they're thick enough so that you can't get wall banged, and so it's just a nice little spot to take refuge if you feel like you're being too vulnerable up on the other part there. Just a note that this area over here with these little slabs of cover, they are wall bangable. So from this spot over here, if someone is hiding here or hiding here, you can wall bang them. And these little slits in the bottom of them will show someone's feet underneath them if they're hiding, or if they just have their barrel sticking out, which is common, you will be able to see that. So you can really pick up on that as a sniper from this window or any of the other windows around there if you know that there's an enemy behind one of these slabs. This right here is another building that I love to snipe from. It also has similar angles but provides a little bit different combat. So from this building, there are things you need to be aware of. Firstly, this window has a sightline over to here. And oftentimes people might not realize it, but when they're sitting right here, they are exposed to both of these windows. And from this building over here, this 3-story building, you can see these people, or at least their barrel. With this knowledge, you can wallbang them. So if you're the person in this building, make sure to look out for that in this building. Or if you're the person sitting in this little sniper's nest here, you need to be mindful of where you're positioning yourself in this building, as it can give you away. So of course with this building, you don't need to sit right up here and stick your barrel out. It's very nice to just do the semicircle thing again, just peek slowly, and the stairs as well can be used as some extra protection. Mainly for shooting into this area, I like to use this balcony, but if I want to mix things up and maybe deceive the enemy a little bit, I'll also come down the stairs and peek from here. The sightline is kind of limited giving the roof above you, but you can usually see people sitting right here or right over here. Spawns are in here, so you need to be aware of that. I would honestly not recommend sniping in this little balcony right here, as you are just exposed to too much and there's not much cover. This railing here is wall bangable, and a good sniper will take advantage of that, and you can be seen from many of the different sightlines with your barrel poking out or not. So just be aware of that, and I would honestly recommend sniping up in the main portion of the building. This is also a nice building to snipe from, and what I like about it is, again, the broadness that the sightlines you have access to from this area, especially something like the hill. It's right there in front of you. Of course, you need to be aware of other areas, and so just a general tip for sniping in general, don't just scope in and stare at one thing. Really only scope in when you're preparing to shoot someone or are definitely going to shoot an enemy, because when you scope in like this and say I'm staring at the hill, this whole other building right here is closed off from my vision. And so it's so easy, if I'm just staring at the hill, for someone else to come up into this window right here and shoot me in the face. You can also jump off of here and run back here as well. People like to snipe back here. I won't spend a whole time in this back area, as it's just kind of too limited and honestly kind of slow paced for me. While I don't like to be chased by enemies, I do enjoy the fight, so I do tend to stick to the buildings as I just enjoy it more, but you can snipe over here and use it as cover. And then this string of buildings over here is also just another area that I like to snipe from, and moving all throughout it, you can get different visuals on different sightlines and just diversify playing a little bit. So from here I have this sightline and this one as well, but if I go over here I can have similar ones into here and here. It is notable though that this billboard is wall bangable, so while you can't see the window over there, you can most definitely wall bang it. And then with these railings you can hop up on them to get a better view of things. I like to do this on the other portion over here. I like to hop up here and shoot into here, as it's not something that people are necessarily going to be expecting. With this little portion of building right here, you have to be aware of this sniper nest building, as they have 3 areas where they can really see you, really 4. So in here, they can see you. Over here, they can see you. Over here, they can see you. Over here, they can see you. And over here, they can see you. So make that really 5. You can use this to your advantage, however. Sometimes peeking right up in here, I feel like I expose myself too much to the enemy, and I'll often fall back to mix things up a little bit. If the enemy just decides to scope in on this little part right here and wait for me to peek again, I can simply move back to one of these other positions and shoot them, and I find that that works. This is an area where there's a spawn point, so you have to be mindful of that. I'm often sniping in here as a ghost, and I'm going to be looking over here sometimes or over here, and sometimes you can get caught off guard by people spawning in this building, so be mindful of that. So that really sums up my favorite areas to snipe from on the map. There are other buildings like over here and over in here as well, but I find that those are maybe just too up front or too exposed for my liking, and the sightlines that you can get from them are often available in a safer position. And that kind of closes out the tips I want to give you on Desert Storm. I really believe that your positioning on this map and where you place yourself in relation to other players and where they can see you is very important, and people are often making mistakes that get them killed. Most notably with their barrel sticking out if they're sniping, or just not knowing that they're in a spot that can get wall banged. So be mindful of that while playing the map and take advantage of it yourself. If you're already an experienced sniper, these tips are probably not going to be very helpful for you, but hopefully for someone who maybe is a little lost on the map or doesn't really know where they're going wrong, might be able to get some tips out of this and get some help out of it. So that's all I've got for today. I hope in some capacity I was helpful for you. I would really advise against just not needlessly exposing yourself on this map. If you have any other tips that you would like to give, please be sure to leave them in the comments. That's all I've got today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next